Hey, this is Tom, and it's my first video review for YouTube. And piece I'm reviewing today is this Patagonia Airshed Pro wind shirt. And yeah, it's something that it's kind of hard to figure out what it's like from the reviews you're reading. You know, you got people wearing this in all over different types of geographies, climates. So, like for trail running, people use it backcountry skiing, really a lot of stuff. And I live in Montreal, so it's more of a running, trail running, but not high elevation situation. Get really cold winters. I tend to sweat like a pig, and I was looking for a light windbreaker, something that is super breathable and is able to actually cut the wind. Because you know when you're running out here, especially when the colder temps hit, it's just really unpleasant, but it's also unpleasant being in a garbage bag. So, yeah. So, what I got on here, this is the utility blue color. Seems like Patagonia changes their colors up every year. There's a few other funky colors. There's a purple, a green color that's actually more of a yellow, and then something that's more kind of like a brown taupe thing. This one, it's well, pretty neutral. I don't hate it. I don't love it. You're not really going to stick out at all if you know someone's looking for you. But if you're just wearing this around a city for running, you're not going to stick out much. That's a huge plus. So if you read the reviews, it's got this little storage pocket which flips out to become a stuff sack. You have actually a two-way zip here, so it's actually really long. Oop, a little out of focus. And yeah, it opens up really wide. So that's actually kind of practical because in my case, I'm wearing a size large, which usually I'm not large in Patagonia, but in this piece, I tried on a medium from an old version and it was super tight. This one's still fairly tight on my limbs. 6'2", 195 pounds right now. On my torso, it's not too tight. It's just right. Usually I'd be a medium or close to a medium. This is a bit of a tighter fit. So something to consider if you're online shopping like I was and you don't have much access to um, models to try on in store. And as you'll be able to see in a second, pretty tight fit. You know, take this off, it really grabs onto your hands, but this material here is really stretchy. You can actually see that it's got a whole different weave. It's really not the same material across the piece. So sleeves into the armpits here, you have this super breathable synthetic, uh, light wind breaking, kind of more like what you'd see in like an R1 fleece from them, but really much of a smaller pattern. And then on the hood, you have a bit more of the same. So that's kind of nice because you tend to get hot up there. You can get that right over your head. It's nice and stretchy. It'll fit over a bunch of different things, hats or whatever, toque, beanie. And then this is the windbreaking fabric. And you know, this is not going to be the most durable fabric in the world. Uh, you know, if you catch it on some branches here and there, it'll hold up, but definitely not a super hard wearing piece. Like I'm sure it'll surprise me because it's Patagonia, but you know, the stuff on this part of the sleeve, it looks pretty. Yeah, it looks like it could wear fast. So actually, I have another piece right here, an old R1, and I mean this is a lot thicker, a lot burlier, and you know I'm getting this kind of wear at the elbows. So yeah, something to keep in mind if you're looking for something more hard wearing. This is definitely not it, but I think for trail running where you're not really um, making a lot of contact with trees or scrambling up like rocks and this kind of thing, maybe you're going to be okay for long term, especially in a city. you'll be totally fine. There's very little risk there. So I'll throw it back on. So you can see having the especially long zip in the front. So even though it's a more of a half zip, not a quarter zip, it makes it a little easier to put on and get really tight. And for you trail runners out there, this is what it could look like with a running vest. So this vest is a Salomon advanced skin. I think it's a large, if anyone's wondering. I'm not very good at putting this on, but fits perfectly. It doesn't look out of whack. That fabric zone where it's less of a DWR, less of a wind stop, that's right on your armpit. It's not at all covered by your vest. This piece, it's going to pack up really small if you want to bring it on your run, just as an emergency, or say you're starting earlier or whatever, and you got to shed it, air shed. It's going to be perfect for this. Super light. And I had a hat lying around here somewhere. Must have forgot it. But anyway, cap will fit fine over here. And glasses, whatever. You're set. You can even get a bit of kind of scarf action here if you're feeling a little cold waiting up for somebody or whatever. And yeah, this material, that'll be good for this kind of vest. It shouldn't wear out the same way I think this will wear out. This is definitely not as strong. All right. So let's look a bit at the packability here. And as I get this piece ready to pack up, I've been wearing it. I'm in my apartment here. It's been actually pretty hot. I ordered it a bit late. Could have used it a couple months ago, to be honest. But even though it's fairly hot in my place, and I'd rather be in a t-shirt, I haven't really been sweating much in this. Like it's super breathable. So that's really what I'm after. Something that I can use for high output activities and cut the wind. So I think this piece will work really well, but I'm definitely going to put it through its paces. So for the packability, this is the pocket here. Oh, bit of a focus issue. It's not very big. So if you actually are, if you want to rely on this to bring anything, it's fairly small. You can maybe fit like a couple of little snacks in there. You don't want, like you're not going to carry water in there beyond like a very small amount. You're probably going to want to rely on a vest or a belt for that. So like a lot of pieces, it packs into that pocket. And this is a nice zipper. It's high quality Patagonia Patagooch. And it even comes with a little string or a loop for a carabiner. So it's kind of perfect if if you don't have a vest or whatever to stick it in, you can just, even put it onto a belt. Like this is not just used for running. As I said, there's people using this piece for all sorts of stuff. Seems like backcountry skiers love it. I get it. I've been touring, but usually I tend to not wear much when I'm going up. And yeah, but if you're more in like an exposed face or above the trees, I could see where this would be really useful to cut out some of that wind that's hitting you as you're exposed, even though you're outputting a lot of energy to get up to your de-skinning area. Official weight of this. Let me get my scale. So I'm gonna tear it. And so this is a large, comes in at 107 grams. That's really That's like less than half a cup of water in weight. That so this thing is super light. Uh, yeah. So for sizing, as I said, 6'2", 195 pounds. You know, even if I was at like 175 where I was a couple of years ago, I'd probably still go for a large. I mean, a medium I think could work, but yeah, it would be a little tight on the torso. But for sure, if you're kind of my size, I'd go large. If you're taller, so I think I'm at 6'2". You know, if you're at the 6'3", 6'4", you probably want to go even a size up for this is men's, of course. Medium, well, probably going to fit a wider range of people. So yeah, like really skinny people my height. The sleeves might be a touch short, based on where I had them on here. But if you're anywhere in like that 5'10" to 6 foot range, I could see this fitting well, very very well in medium. I think I could probably squeeze in a nice little thin mid layer, like if I really wanted to. So like that R1 I was showing you. But I don't think that's really what I want to do with this. I want to wear this kind of thing when I'm like really, you know, pushing hard and I just really want to cut wind. But yeah, if you think you want to put something underneath, like a mid layer, I think an R1 could pair well just because it's super breathable. Then this could be also a really good piece, but you may want to size up because it is really a tight fit. Yeah, so price, it's steep, a couple $100 Canadian with taxes, all that stuff. Uh, American, I forget, but yeah, it's definitely not a cheap piece for what it is. But it's it's Patagonia. They they do a great jobs with their sourcing. There's have a sustainable approach to things. So you're paying a bit for the company. You're paying also for the brand. Like they'll help you out if you end up with issues, repairs, whatever. They're really good about that. But in terms of comparables, I looked around and it's hard to find, especially in Canada. I think maybe in Europe you might find a couple more options similar. Um, I know Salomon had a couple of things that looked interesting, a bit cheaper, maybe about like 30% cheaper, but it didn't look like the same quality. It didn't look as breathable. There's a lot of options on the market that have like a more heavy windproof that you see in like a Houdini, and then kind of like vents on the sides or in the pits. So it's more of a okay, how do you dump heat approach? Whereas this is like venting all around. Like whether I'm in the thicker part or this extra miniature R1 part, it's kind of hard to see, but see if we can zoom in here. Yeah, like this is going to vent like crazy. So if you have any questions, throw it in the comments and looking forward to having some feedback. Hope this helps. Thanks.